Journal Evening and welcome to your next Rangers Journal report. This time, with the transfer window slamming shut, we thought we would take a look at free agents that we can still sign. So with me tonight, I've got my faithful colleague Scotty, who we did a striker video, and then next thing we were seeing a bit of a rumour, weren't we, Scotty?
Aye, 100%. I will link to a boy for Pilsen just today, actually, that apparently we made a bid for them.
Right.
Now, we're not taking credit, but we're going to take credit for it, as far as I'm concerned. Never mind the fact he played against Rangers in a European Cup qualifier and all that jargon.
We've got a history for that, though. Signed Barisic after playing for us, start of the Gerrard era, so
Resta.
Could be a thing.
Resta.
Right, let's get into it. So, first up on the list for you is Salim Amala. It's a midfielder. Now, one of the things that Gordy has kind of said that we need to watch out for when it comes to the free transfers is the injury history. Because obviously, if they're free, there's normally a reason for it. Looking at this guy over the last few seasons, he's not too bad. He missed 9 games with a broken shoulder, which, I'll probably give my buy on that. I think the broken shoulder's not a bad excuse. Other than that, he has been pretty clean for us, so potentially not an injury risk with this one. Looking at his heat map there, you can see he plays on the left of midfield. And his shot map, you can see there a few from outside the box, a few in the box. I think that's probably quite encouraging that he's a midfielder that gets into the box, because I know obviously that's sometimes something we've bemoaned with the current Rangers team, that not enough mids are getting in there. Looking at his stats, he played 24 games last season, 3 goals and 1 assist, which isn't a terrible return for a midfielder. Dribbles, he's a 58% success rate with 3.8 dribbles per 90. Passing accuracy at 83%, but long passing sticks out at 60%. That's really high for long passing, actually. He's obviously got quite a nice peg on him. Recoveries, 6 per 90, so he's no slacking on the defensive side, and interceptions, 3.4 per 90. Now, all this data was from La Liga last season. So again, it's not that he's playing in some nothing league and, stat padding. It's a decent level of competition. I think from his radar here, you can see not a bad return for a midfielder. I think some of his passing stuff could maybe be a wee bit better. Probably something Russell Martin certainly would be looking at, but, duels, goals, assists, he is up there. So what do you make of this guy, Scotty?
He's got a very good low centre of gravity, they say, with the ball at his feet. He's very good at picking a pass, making a run into a box. He's got a tidy finish about him all. For Morocco, he plays on the right-hand side of midfield 3. In fact, he's Moroccan. I'm immediately I'm attracted to the idea of Rangers bringing this guy in. He's a willing runner. The stuff I've looked up on him, he's been kind of surrounded by 3-4 players. He's good in tight situations. As I say, he's got good ball control. He can kind of play his way out. He's certainly got a good physicality about him as well, Dave. Obviously, there was rumours that Rangers were looking at him in the last few days of the transfer window. So were they to go into a market, I don't think I would be too disappointed to see this boy rock up, because he's very good at linking the play between midfield and attack. And I think, kind of looking at the way Rangers have set up, I mean, there's been a severe lack of service, and there's been a severe lack of a link between the build-up play for the back to the midfield to the front. And I think if you can bring him in, he's automatically going to be able to link the midfield to the front, to be honest with you.
Certainly, and I mean, I know in the scout chat we've kind of looked at some of the pass maps for the side, and I think pretty much everything is up one wing or the other. Very, very little goes through the middle. Now, fair enough, that I'm sure is how Martin wants to play, but having that option to vary it a bit, change it up, keeps teams off balance. It means that they can't set up specifically to defend that wing play. So, yeah, I think I agree. I'd definitely be in favour of this one as well. Moving on then. Next up is Sasa Jelar. And yeah, I did have to look up the pronunciation of that before I came on. Um, he's 30 years old, 6 foot, 3.5 million market value, although he would be a free for us. Um, Looking at his games missed, so there is a few in there, but again, looking at the reasons, there's nothing that instantly kind of jumps out and gives me the fear. Illness, fine, we all get it.
Aye.
Drew Shin, again, probably a valid reason, but not something that you're going to expect to be recurring time and again. Looking at his heat map, so we can see there he's a defensive midfielder, primarily, I would say, playing on the right, but obviously has played a bit on the left too, just looking at the distribution of heat there. Key stats, so he played 22 games last season, 0 goals, 1 assist. Defensive duels, he was 71% and aerial 71%. Now, it's 6 foot and a 71% aerial duel rate. So
Mm-hmm.
very much appealed to us, given that we seem incapable of winning duels and getting a second ball.
Yeah.
Passing accuracy, a lot higher for him. So he's 89% on the short passing, but 58 on the long passing. So still respectable long distance, a bit more accurate with short distance than Amala that we had before. 9.2 recoveries per 90. That is up there. That's up there.
Yep.
And 3.2%, 3.2 interceptions per 90. Now, the one thing I will call out on that is this is obviously in the Russian Premier League, so it is a slightly lower standard than La
Aye.
Liga, where Amala was from. But I would suggest there's some metrics in there that are not to be sniffed at. I think his duel rates for both ground and air are good. Passing accuracy is good. Recoveries is good. And I think that's borne out on his radar, Scotty. So what have you seen of this guy?
An absolute wonder left foot. He likes a wee shot at goal. He's good in the tackle. He's fairly dominant in the air as well. He likes to pick up the ball in the sixth position, drive forward, make some space. Can win a foul as well when required. If he feels any kind of pressure, he'll soon go down. But he's intelligent with it. He's not silly. He's not scared of a slide tackle. To be honest with you, Dave, he's really hard in the tackle. But like I say, good ball control overall. Good left footer. Very good positionally. He's good at progressing the play forward, which is something we've not done very well this season, if we're honest. We're very good at progressing it side to side and passing it between the centre halves, but this boy's not fear of stepping into space and just playing a one-time pass forward. He's fairly aggressive in everything he does. Bear in mind it is a slightly lower standard than the SPFL. I'm not going to be too critical of the Russian league, but given the current climate and stuff that Russia finds itself in, it probably the level has taken a knock the last few years because of the political circumstances. But the boy looks a ball off. I'm being honest. He's very good at even just his first touch. I mean, one of the clips I watched earlier, he just touched the ball in a corner, and then he get moved forward. He touched the ball in a corner, gets a 1-2, and then plays a defence cutting pass onto the left winger. He's not fear of spraying a pass forward either. He's a good player.
I mean, to be honest, from what I'm seeing in the data and from what you're describing, I think the boy is basically what we all thought we were getting with Joe Rothwell, if I'm being honest. But next then. So this one's going to be very familiar to a lot of people. You can blame Gordy if you don't like the inclusion, or, credit us if you do. Forget Gordy. Right. Next up is Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Probably well known to many. Until I saw him on this list, I genuinely thought he must have retired 10 years ago because it feels like he's been about forever. Easy to forget that he came through at quite a young age. He is now 32. He's free agent. He's 5'10", valued at 2.1 million. He does start to venture into that kind of prejudice almost about free transfers where, all right, why are they free? So we start looking at his injury history and we get an idea. In fairness, last season he only missed 5 games. The 2 seasons before that, he missed 19 and 14 respectively. And looking at the injury types, you've hamstring and thigh. So I think, I mean, let's face it, he's probably written in the stars for Rangers with that kind of injury record. But if we're being sensible with our money, this would feel like a massive gamble because of his injury history. Looking at his stats, though, he did play 18 games last season. He got 1 goal, 0 assist, 64% on his defensive duels, 86% on his passing accuracy, 62% long, 7.2 per 90 on his progressive passes, and 6.9 recoveries per 90. Now, he's playing in the Turkish league. I think, don't know, different people probably think different things. I would suggest it's roughly on par with the SPL. There's a bit more money there, but I think, whenever we meet those teams, we do tend to make a fairly good battle of it. His radar doesn't look terrible, but for me, I think this would just feel like a massive, massive risk, Scotty. What do you think to it?
I don't think there's any doubt in his quality. I mean, he's still done it in Turkey. There's absolutely no doubt he's still done it when he's played. He's still got the ability to kind of step up, score a goal, drive forward with the ball, be really, really aggressive on the front foot. But what I've seen in the clips, he's certainly loved by the fans. There's kind of no doubt about it. He's got a good low centre of gravity. I don't really need to sit and describe Oxlade-Chamberlain to anybody, Dave, because we all know he's a top player, but when it comes to injuries and stuff, he's probably a no-go for me, if I'm being honest, just purely down to the injury situation. I mean, if you're sitting here and you're looking at a 32-year-old English central midfielder who was getting capped for England just 2 years ago, and he's not got that injury record, I'm taking him, 100%, because we all know the quality he's got. I know he had a good run of games last season and stuff, but for the outlay and the actual chance he's got of playing, it's probably one I would stay away from.
I think you have to factor as well, the climate in Turkey is obviously an awful lot nicer than Scotland. The kind of football as well, obviously, with that injury tendency that he's got, I think it's a risk taking him anyway. But if you're then ploughing him into Scottish football, where, let's face it, the tackles aren't exactly calm and gentle, that's just asking for trouble for me. I think there's probably other options I would go for before him.
100%, mate.
Next up, though, is a left back. Now, to be blunt, this should massively appeal to us simply for the fact that we have one fit left back at the club. And if he goes, we're then into square pegs, round holes territory. So Jamal Lewis is only 27. He's a free agent again, as everyone is on this video. 5'10" and a 2.5 million valuation. Now, he's a bit the opposite way to Oxlade-Chamberlain. He missed a lot of games last season, 16 as you can see there. But before that, he hadn't had any, and it wasn't an ankle injury. So I guess one of the key things here is exactly what kind of ankle injury it was and how is that healed. Because if it's healed well, you're potentially getting really good value for money here. If it hasn't, then again, you could be setting yourself up for that kind of 2-3 years of just constant niggly injuries like we had with Ridvan. Looking at his stats, so he did play 36 games last season in the Championship. No goals, but 2 assists. Defensive duels, so he's 49% ground and 39% aerial. 50% success rate in his dribbles, and he does 2 per 90 on average. Passing accuracy is 81% for short, 41% long, and 6.8 recoveries per 90. So I think crossing is obviously a key part of his game. We can see that here on the radar. Defensive duels, no too bad at the defensive actions, but there is other things that you could very much do with kind of honing a wee bit. Have you seen much of Jamal Lewis, Scotty?
I've seen a good bit of him. He's obviously, his obvious traits, he's got a wonder left foot, He's good in the tackle. He's good in the air. He's good in the final third. He's got a good engine on him. But the thing that's kind of caught my eye is when he played at Norwich, he actually played a wee stint at right back as well, and his right foot isn't as bad as what you would think. I initially thought an out-and-out quality left back was my initial kind of reaction to this boy, my initial thoughts. But looking at him, he's actually got a lot more in his locker. He did play both sides on Norwich, and he's not fear to taking the ball forward and going on to his right foot either. He's a signing we know we need to make because they've got a gaping hole at left back. Is he better than Ridvan?
Yeah.
Yes. Is he better than Jefty? Yes. Is he better than Borna Barisic? Yes. Is he probably better than Magoma? I think it would make it the most competitive position within the club should we go out and sign this boy. Now, me and you know there's two questions to it. Should we go and sign him? The answer is yes. Will we go and sign him? The answer is probably no, because I think we're finished in the defensive area. I think we're just going to plug it with Magoma and Aarons and Tav and Sterling, and I think it's just going to be a wild balance. But I think this boy would immediately walk in and probably be an ever-present left back, because I think he's a more accomplished player than Magoma. He's more experienced. He's a Northern Ireland international. He brings value if you get a year or two good years out of him. I mean, Rangers haven't got enough experience in the squad. This boy's got a certain level of experience, so you're like Joe Rothwell's, and he's got winning championship experience. And if this is a market we're shopping in, it's really a no-brainer to go and bring this lad in, to be honest with you, because I think he comes in and he's probably one of your best defenders at the club.
I know what you're saying about our business is kind of done in the defensive area, but for me, it's not. Right? You've got Magoma, great. If he gets injured, as I said, square pegs, round holes, you're firing Aarons or Cornelius in there to fill a slot. But the other thing is, we're highly unlikely to keep Magoma beyond next summer. So at some point, we are going to have to go out and get ourselves a left back anyway. And it just seems a bit of a no-brainer. If this guy's as good as what we're hearing, he's a free agent, why wouldn't you? Maybe it's too sensible for Rangers. Maybe that's the problem here, Scotty.
100%. For me, I know what you're saying. It's a complete no-brainer for me, because he's not really got an injury history. As I said, he's a Northern Ireland international. He's an international football player. He's played at the top level in the Premier League. He's an absolute no-brainer. But you just know Rangers only going to go and do it.
Right. Okay. So last up on the list, we have a right winger, and his name is Adamunas. He's 28. Again, free agent, and his value is 2 million. Now, looking at his injury record, he did miss 19 games in the 22-23 season, and obviously the hamstring does kind of stick out there. However, he's then put together, a fairly solid run, I would suggest, since then. 2 seasons, no missing any games. Last season, he played 17 games in League One. He got 1 goal and 0 assists, 2.9 touches in the opposition box per 90, 69% dribble success rate, and he does 8.2 dribbles per 90. So he's obviously a guy that likes to get on the ball and run at people, I would suggest. His passing accuracy 76%, which again isn't too terrible for a winger, given that they're going to be playing in the congested areas. 5.8 recoveries per 90 suggests that he is willing to, put in the yards defensively as well. And I think we can see in his radar here, it's pretty maxed out in some places. So not a bad option for me, but I think the one thing that sticks out and would maybe worry me a bit is the 1 goal, 0 assists for a winger. I'm quite old-fashioned. I like my front three to be kind of goal scorers, or at least have a bit of a history of it. But what do you make of him, Scotty? You've obviously watched him a bit.
He's somebody that he's a type of winger that we've not got. He's a very old-fashioned, small, pacey, dynamic. He's got a trick. He'll He's not scared of beating a man. He's a bit exciting. He's got a very quick turn of pace. He's got good ball control. I mean, some of the clips I've seen earlier
What
on.
I'm hearing is Martin would hate him.
Aye, pretty much, aye. I mean, see if you think of Finlay Curtis and Gassama, they're very similar in the sense of their goal scoring wingers. Antman will probably he's more in the David Beckham mould where you can imagine him picking a pass. Obviously, he's nowhere near as good as David Beckham, but he's that type of winger where he's more passing orientated. This wee guy is phenomenal, to be honest with you, Dave. He's played at a good club in Lille, who Rangers know very well now. He's both footed. He can play on either side. He's just very fast in everything that he does, and nobody seems to catch him with the ball at his feet. He's definitely one that would get the crowd off their seats, put it that way.
Yeah, and you know what, dare I say it, we probably do need someone like that, even though I don't think Martin will see the value on it. I think someone that's...
It would create space within a low block. I've been saying it for years on this pod. I've been saying it for years on this pod that you need somebody that can skin the fullback or somebody that can skin a man in the middle of the parks. It doesn't happen in football anymore. It's all about passing and passing your way through.
Yep.
I mean, if the guy just takes the ball and nutmegs his defender or does a skill and goes past him or just runs past him with ease, do you know what I mean? It's a no-brainer for me, really, looking at him.
I think the other bonus a player like that as well is it keeps the fullbacks on their toes because, you know, he goes past you, pull him down once, suddenly you're on a yellow card, and you've got to be wary the whole game. And just on a psychological level, you do see with fullbacks sometimes that they retreat a wee bit because they kind of know that they're walking a tightrope. So I wouldn't be opposed to him. As I said, I've got my doubts whether Martin would want that kind of player because, like you said, Martin is very much an adherent to this pass kind of modern system. I think the last time we've truly had someone that is more about driving at people, dribbling would be Ryan Kent on the left. Is he any kind of comparison there?
He's a bit more direct and a bit faster with the ball at his feet than Kent, I would say, Dave.
Okay. Which I certainly wouldn't be complaining about. So, Scotty, if I said to you, right, you can't spend any money beyond wages, but go and take the pick of these 5, who would you sign for Rangers?
So Jamal Lewis is your first no-brainer, right?
Yep.
Adam Unis, if we'd get rid of Matondo, I would have brought in Unis.
Please.
It's just because we're top heavy in that department now with wingers. I just think this boy offers a lot more. I would say we're okay in the central midfield area. But probably they two lads would be my kind of picks, to be honest with you, mate. Oxlade Chamberlain's a no-go. You stay away from him. And the first boy, who was the first boy again that we looked at?
Go back to Salim Amala.
Salim Amala, he's very good at linking the play, as I say, for taking the ball in tight spaces and stuff. I wouldn't be against him either. So if Rangers are wanting to go and make 3 summer signings on free agents, I would go.
So Scotty. Jeez, I said pick 1 and you've named 3 of the buggers.
Well, if I have to pick one, it'll be Lewis. It would be Jamal Lewis because the club needs it. But my favourite player at them all is probably Unis.
I think I'm probably with you, all jokes aside. I think Jamal Lewis is the obvious one just because we're so short in that position. I'd be quite happy to see Eunice. As I said, I'm not convinced we would sign him, but I personally wouldn't be opposed to it. And I think the midfielders both of them look reasonably good, both of the first two. I guess it's just, as you say, we're pretty stacked in the midfield area now. Okay, well, thanks very much for coming on and going through these, telling folk a bit about each player, Scotty.
No, any problem. Thanks for reading through your graphs and hosting and just doing what you did, Dave.
It was a pleasure, mate. And for those watching, if you have liked what you've heard, please do like and subscribe to the channel. For now, Every night is a Ranger's Journal.